Just 1, 2, 3. Okay, today is January 13th?
Yeah.
No, yeah, January 13th?
Yeah.
2007. And my name is John A. Lifeite Jr. I'm the nephew of Bessie Ring, who's on camera. You can see her. And we're just trying to capture a few of her thoughts about the decade that she has experienced as a Shram descendant, right?
Right.
So this is intended to be of interest to Shram descendants. And here comes, oh look, it's my cousin is here. Wait a minute,
Sounds like a helicopter when I drive.
Yeah.
There he is. We're gonna get him on there too. We're doing a little interview of your grandma, cool. And we'll shut this off. But now we've captured you. It's recording again. Now we said earlier that was, who was that?
That was James?
Yeah. Who is he?
He's my grandson.
Right. He's Barb's and Bruce's, right?
Right. My only child, a grandchild.
And how old is he?
He was 17 in the beginning of December.
And what year school is he?
He's a junior.
Where?
In Florence, at West High School.
West High School in Florence?
Not West High School. He's at Wilson High School.
What are his interests?
You mean besides school, or?
Yeah.
Besides school, hunting and fishing.
Yeah, and what did he tell us a few minutes ago he was going to do with his life when he grows up?
He's going to be a diesel mechanic.
Yeah, ag, he said, right?
Yeah, in agriculture.
Yes, that sounds good. Okay, we're going to go back to the purpose of this tape. And what I'm trying to do here simply is just kind of record some things that only you know, because you were so much younger and you've lived longer than all the rest of them.
That's for sure.
And when were you born and where?
I was born on March 23rd, 1929 in Floral Park, New York.
Where's Floral Park?
Well, it's in Nassau County, but just over the line from Queens, New York, in New York City.
Oh, so it's out on the island then?
Well, it's not out on the island, it's just over the line.
Okay, and were your parents living in there then, or did you live in Queens Village then?
We lived in Queens Village.
But was there a hospital out there where you were born?
It was a small, like a sanitarium. You know, back then they didn't have these big hospitals. They just had the small hospital.
So your mom went out there to have you, huh?
Yeah. I was the only one that wasn't born at home, I think.
Okay. And that was in, you said March 23rd, 1929?
Right.
That was, I think I've heard you say before, when was the great, the stock crash? When was that?
Depression, 1929.
But what date was the stock crash in 29?
I don't know. I think it was the fall. I think. I'm not sure.
Later that same year after you were born?
I think so.
Oh, goodness. That was...
yeah, I think the stock crash was in November. I wouldn't remember.
That was a tough time. And what were your parents' names?
Well, Bessie and Henry.
I know, but we're doing this.
Oh, well, all right.
We're doing this for posterity.
Bessie and Henry Shram.
Right, Bessie and Henry
That's
Shram.
why I'm named Bessie Henrietta.
Oh, you're Bessie H., really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Because you were the third one, and they thought, we ain't going to see a Henry boy. We better get the name on this one, huh?
Exactly right.
Now, your sister's was Dorothy. What was her middle name?
I don't remember.
Okay, and what about Alma, my mother? What was her? Anna?
Yeah, Alma Anna. But I think Dorothy might have been... No, I don't remember what Dorothy's were.
I don't either. I don't know. Maybe Steve and Mary, no.
Yeah, I don't know whether...
I sure hope this is picking up all the audio. I have reason to believe it is because it's quiet in here and all, but I don't want to be playing this back, and I'll beg my Aunt Bess's forgiveness if the sound is not going well. I think this will pick up the audio. It should. So it was Henry and Bessie, and you were the youngest of the three kids, right?
Right.
And let's see, the first one had been born in 1917, and you were born in 1929. That's a 12-year span there.
Right.
And Alma, 1917, Dorothy, 24, was it?
22, I think, because she was 7.
Okay.
She was 7 years older. Alma was 5 years older than I was.
And what's Dorothy's birthday?
It was February 23rd.
February 23rd. And you're March 23rd. Alma, December 27th, something like that? December 29th?
29th,
December
I thought.
29th. And was she 1917 or 1916?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I'm really close because I got that letter.
Well, yeah, I know she's 12 years younger than, I mean, I'm 12 years younger than Alma.
Yeah.
Would have been, yeah.
So I have to look at that letter that came from your mother's mother to your mother about Alma's birth to know the exact.
Right.
I think she was born in 17. So what's your earliest memories as a kid? You were living in Queens Village in an area that you say is now all minority people. But I remember visiting that house as a kid quite a bit. I mean, is that where they were living when you were born?
Uh-huh.
It was a nice house, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
And what was the address on that one?
10610 223rd Street.
Queens Village, New York.
Right. They didn't have zip codes.
Yeah, did they have something else? I'm trying to remember in places. They didn't have anything, did they?
No.
And zip codes only came about the 60s or something, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
The early 60s?
Yeah, but I don't remember when they came. I don't remember where we were even. But,
so did Grandpa Henry Schramm, did he have to travel far to work every day, or what did he do?
well, of course, I don't remember much back then.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the things you remember then. What are your earliest
The first memory?
Yeah.
Okay, I was in my father's arms when Grandpa Hunt died. Grandpa Hunt lived with us when I was a baby.
That was your mother's father?
My mother's father.
Oh.
And I was in his arms in what eventually was my bedroom. And it was the small bedroom. We had 3 bedrooms in the house, and it was the small bedroom. And
was it the one at the bottom of the attic stairs?
Right. Oh, you remember that?
Hey, I was a smart kid. I'm not too smart now, but I was smart.
That eventually turned into my room because Dorothy and Alma had the larger bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mom and Dad slept in
the one next to the bathroom.
Yeah. But I remember the light bulb. I must have been asleep because they woke me up so that he could see me before he died. Because I was his baby.
You mean you got along pretty good with him?
Well, I just was barely walking. He used to follow me all over.
Oh, okay. So he enjoyed having you around.
Yeah, he lived with us, and but that's I remember that. Don't ask me why, but I remember that. But then, I don't know what other early memories.
You remember that as a 1-year-old being in your father's arms?
I don't know how old I was, but I can remember the light bulb, the light, and.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing to be.
But somebody just went. I don't know who was out there.
Somebody out there?
Yeah, it might have been James.
We'll have to rely on the dogs to kill him because I think.
Oh no, it's nobody.
No,
it's James or
James will get him
or something. But and then I can remember we had a big tree in front of the house. I can remember playing under that as a child. But,
oh, you had a big tree out there in front of that house, huh?
Yeah, blew down in the hurricane of '39.
Oh, man, that's why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Because I remember there were trees on the street, certainly. And
it was a big swamp maple.
Yeah, we'd go down there and visit, and we'd run the tricycles up and down the street, and it was a safe place. I mean, we could go quite far from the house, and nobody ever worried about it.
Yeah.
And nobody ever drove up over the curb and ran us over. Nobody.
No.
We weren't cute enough to kidnap or anything, but they just were out there having a good old time. And let's see, did you start school in kindergarten or first grade?
Kindergarten.
And where did you go, in Queens Village?
Yes, 34.
And we were talking earlier today, you had to walk, huh?
We walked to school.
PS 34.
Right.
I wonder if they still call it that. They give them all names these days, don't they?
Oh, I imagine. Now, down in New York, I think they still go by numbers.
Uh-huh. And was it full-day kindergarten?
I think it was half day. I don't really remember.
And did you spend your whole life going to school right up through high school out of that house?
Oh, yeah. I lived there till I was married, and then my parents lived there after I was married and until they bought the house Art and I built in Amenia
Mm-hmm.
after Dad retired.
Amenia, New York. That's upstate.
Right.
You know, remember that was the red house way up on the hill.
Yeah, the red house.
What'd you like about school?
Nothing really much.
No.
I mean, school was school. I wasn't particularly interested in anything.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yeah.
What year
Okay.
was that?
Well, let's see. I was married in 1947 at 18, and I worked a year. It must have been 1946.
So it was right after the war.
Yeah, because
What was it like to be a young teenager during World War II?
I don't really recall that it was anything outstanding. I was more concerned with being a teenager than I was the war.
I mean, you never worried about any invasion of America?
No, no.
How did the rationing and the stamps and limited
Oh,
all affect
well,
you guys?
gas didn't affect us because we took the bus and subway any place we wanted to go.
Did it affect your parents at all? They have a car?
No, we never drove much.
They have a car?
Of course, Dad didn't drive to work. Yeah, we had a car.
But he just left it in the backyard?
Yeah, it was in the garage. And the only time we used the car would be weekends to go someplace.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember it being, I know the thing I think that bothered my sisters the most was the stockings, nylon stockings, and they used to send me to stand in line to buy nylon stockings over there.
Because each person can only get one, you mean?
Well, they weren't available, and they'd have them in a store, and they'd hear about it, and they'd send me to go stand in line.
Really?
Yeah,
Just to wait?
because
you
they
mean?
worked.
Oh, because they were working.
Yeah, this is when I was in high school.
Yeah. And so nylon stockings were hot.
Big thing. Sugar. My mother probably had the most problem with sugar and things like that were rationed.
So as a kid, a teenager especially, you didn't really feel a pain. You think that
No,
mothers
no, I was
and all
more
that felt.
concerned with boys and that sort of stuff.
So you always had plenty to eat and that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Because my dad was, well, he was working probably in the shipyards and stuff. He did go up to Massachusetts for a while and worked building camps, army camps.
Oh.
And I went up, I remember one Christmas, for Christmas vacation, and stayed with him while he was working up there.
How did you get up there? Train?
Yeah, with Dad. He came down, and then we went back after Christmas, and
Just you went with him?
yeah. And he was living in a boarding house, and I stood there, and he took me around different places up there, Bunker Hill and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys
It was outside of Boston.
Did you guys get along pretty good?
Oh, yeah. I was my dad's girl. I went fishing with him, crabbing.
Oh, yeah. You guys were pretty
Yeah.
tight, huh?
Well, he had time to spend with me where he didn't with the other two girls.
Oh, yeah. That's great that you were like that, 'cause
Yeah, we were very close.
yeah, I know. I've always enjoyed spending time with my daughter. I know that. And because he occasionally would have to go and do jobs, Henry Schramm, in different places, wouldn't he?
Yeah, not so much as he got older. He worked mostly in one place.
How old was he when he retired?
Grandpa, he must have been 65.
Okay. And then he went off to see I remember he gave me a little rock collection. He went off to see what he called the Wild and Woolly West, didn't he?
Well, that was after Grandma died. He went with some friends.
Late 50s,
He
right?
went, they drove out, and then he, from someplace out there, Oregon or Washington, he came back by train.
Because you said he got upset with somebody out there or something.
Well, he and the friends, after a couple weeks of riding around the car together,
Imagine that.
didn't get along too well, so he came back by train.
And how about your mother? What do you remember about her when you were a kid?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to explain, Mom. She was always at home working around the house. She was a fastidious housekeeper.
Yeah, I remember that house was pretty clean, wasn't it?
And she was very active in school, parent teachers, and the mother's club and that sort of thing.
Oh.
She was always a very active woman.
Now, my mother was big about teaching Sunday school at the Presbyterian Church. Was your mom big in that?
No, they weren't. I went to Sunday school.
Was it at Grace Lutheran or something?
Grace Lutheran, where I was married.
Yeah, because I think I was baptized there or something like that. I received a name in some of that.
And yeah, but they weren't very active in the church.
Because my mom had us in the church when we were
Well, I used to sing in the choir. We all sang in the choir and went to Sunday school and everything.
And you said Grandpa Hunt was living with you, had him being your mother's father.
Right.
His wife's name was?
Susan.
Susan. Oh, and that is what your Susan is named after?
Yeah.
Her, huh? No.
I never knew her. She died before I was born, as did a lot of the family.
And you got along pretty well with him, and he used to live up in Westchester, right? That's where your mother was from originally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Putnam County. Not Westchester.
Is that
further up.
Putnam.
Around Peekskill.
I don't know. Is Peekskill in Putnam County?
Well, they were up further.
Yeah, because to me, Putnam is Mayapack and that kind of stuff.
Well, they were up there. I mean, they weren't from Westchester.
Okay. And while I'm thinking of it, just so everybody would know, that cemetery where all the family members are buried, Grandpa refers to it in the audio tape that I have from 1986.
Yeah.
But that's over near Peekskill, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what the name of that is and where it is again?
I don't. I have it in my telephone book. If you really want to know, but I mean,
is it handy?
Yeah, the telephone directory over there.
Right here?
Desk. Yeah, that one.
Okay. I think that'd be a good thing to have on you. Because in the fall of 1979, I think it was December, Grandpa Schramm had the flu and he eventually passed away. Is that your recollection?
And I'm sorry, I wasn't paying
Was it
attention.
December 79 when he died? Because it was right after my son was born. I remember that.
Yeah, it was, yeah, because I went back to bring him out to...
That's not good with that dog barking. So I'm going to close the door, okay?
Okay. If you want to shut the kitchen windows open, too, if you want to close that.
It makes for bad audio recording.
Well, they bark all the time and everything's going on up there. You want to close the kitchen window, that's right. I know it's in here, but I don't remember what I have it under. You don't have to close both of them, just the inside one.
I'm not going to close it. I don't know how to. It's not working for me, so I'm not going to worry about it, but I hope the dogs be quiet. Because otherwise we won't be able to hear what you say.
Well, it may be in the other book. Maybe
Right, we
when
won't
I
worry
didn't
about
put
that.
it.
I know it's in Peekskill somewhere.
Yeah, I can't think of it. I have it because it has perpetual care, but I am responsible. I don't know what'll happen when I'm gone, but...
And your mom's there too?
Yeah.
And are there other family members there?
Only my mother's family.
The Hunts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it must
When
be
did you,
in the other book.
let's see, what did you put down? When did you first meet your husband, Arthur?
Oh, I didn't meet him. His
Well, there
father...
must have been a time when you met.
Well, no, his father and my father were apprentices together.
His father's name was what?
Ferdinand.
Ferdinand Ring?
Ferdinand Ring.
Ferdinand Ring? Okay.
Ferdinand Anton Henry Ring.
Really? He was a Henry too, huh?
Yeah. And they were apprentices together as boys. And that's how they met. So the family was friends.
Apprentice sheet metal workers, you mean?
Right. Yeah, they were both sheet metal workers.
Oh, good.
So the families were always friends.
Oh.
After they got married. And I've known Art.
Okay, I apologize. You say I didn't meet him. You knew him always.
I always knew him, and he tormented the life out of me.
Was he the same age as you?
No, he's 3 years older, but
Yeah,
he used to torment, and we couldn't stand each other.
Huh.
So.
Because I know Grandpa was born in 1890, I believe, because I had that report card of his where he graduated from 8th grade in 1903. Excuse me. And that's very interesting. So I remember you also talking about you got married relatively young.
Yeah.
But that Grandpa, in I guess somewhat of a sexist way, says, "Oh no, I got to get some of your older sisters married before you can get married."
Had to get married first. Well, I don't know how it happened because Dad always felt Alma should get married first. But Dorothy got married first, and then Alma and John met each other at Dorothy's.
And Dorothy met Howard. Or she married Howard.
Well, yeah.
And my parents met at Dorothy's wedding?
At Dorothy, well, yeah, at Dorothy's wedding.
Because my dad was Howard's cousin.
Right.
Etc.
He came. Everybody was coming home from the service, coming home.
And how long between the Dorothy and the Alma?
Well, Dorothy was married, and Dorothy and Howard were married in May.
46, was it?
Yes, 46. And then Alma and John were married in June of 47.
And you were married shortly
in September of 47.
That was a busy time then, wasn't it?
Right.
And then, because I remember then, on the Shram side, certainly, then all the kids started coming.
Right. Well, you were born.
Yeah, August 49.
Then after that, it was Dorothy had Steve in December, and I had Susan in March, and then Alma had Chris in April.
Yeah, a year later.
Yeah.
They all came like boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Now I remember it was always kind of interesting to be down in Queens Village, you know, with the grandparents and the cousins and all that. I don't remember seeing Susan much down there, although I know there are pictures of the three sisters with the kids.
Right. Well, we didn't get down much. We were upstate New York.
But we did see you guys upstate New York at different times. I remember certainly we visited Amenia.
Oh yeah, you used to come up to me.
And I remember Barbara being so little and so much fun to play with.
Well, you were older, then she's 4.5 years younger.
Yeah, we had a
Susan.
blast. We had a blast with Barbara when she was a little kid.
And then Mike came along. And
Mike came along. It was all over for me though, because I was gone in boarding school. I remember you sent me a nice picture of Mike, and he looked like a little duck to me. He was so tiny and everything. But with the good times we had, we were playing with our cousins. You know, between say I think, like to me 53 to 58, and of course, having lived with Steve and Mary and all, Maryland and all. But I remember Susan and Barbara up in Amenia. We had a good time up there. It had the walls with the knotty pine walls.
Yeah.
And Uncle Arthur built that, right?
No, we had the shell put up, and then he finished the inside.
He probably put up those knotty pine walls inside there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a really handy guy, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was very, very helpful that way and handy.
Now, what do you remember about Susan's birth?
Oh, she was born in when we were living in Pine Bush. She was born in Newburgh, and
what were you doing in Pine Bush? Was it dairy
Arthur
farm?
was working on the poultry farm then.
Poultry farm.
Yeah, and we worked for Birkenshaw's.
So did you, was it a hospital in Newburgh?
Yeah, it was the hospital in Newburgh.
How'd that go? Did you have to rush to the hospital?
No. I was bedridden from Thanksgiving on because I was having labor pains. So they kept me off my feet, and they just made a date for me to come into the hospital and have the baby, and she was induced.
And the date was when?
March 17th.
Well, you were bedridden for months then.
Yeah. It was St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. So when you got there, she was induced, and blango, there she was.
Right.
What
and then they didn't send you home. I mean, right away.
Stayed a couple of days, so.
Oh, yeah, I was in for about a week.
No, what do you
And
remember?
Aunt Dot came up and took care of the house, and she was there when I came home.
Aunt Dot Searles?
Right. My mother's sister.
Okay, I remember that. I don't know. She came up and took care of the house, really?
Yeah, she took care of the house, and then she was there when I came home from the hospital to help me.
Wow, that's
Because Susan
great.
was colicky, and she was colicky for 3
Now,
months.
why wouldn't your mom come up?
Well, Aunt Dot loved to come up and visit and stay. She always went everywhere in the family. When
I
anybody
remember her a
needed,
little bit as a kid.
whenever
Not
anybody
much.
needed anything, Aunt Dot would come and stay with us.
And that Searles, by the way, is Searles, right?
Right.
And that's your mother's sister?
Mm-hmm.
She was married to a man named Searles?
Right.
Did he die earlier?
Well, from what I understand, she ran away from home and married him when she was young, and had one son, Teddy. That wasn't his name, but that's what we all called him.
What was his name?
Edward, I think. And then she and her husband, I don't know whether they were divorced or what, but they split up, and she raised Teddy by herself. She worked in a restaurant. But she was a great old gal.
She must have been a pretty tough lady.
She was. And she lived in Hell's Kitchen.
New York
with Teddy,
City?
raised in New York.
Where's that in New York? What part of New York?
That was the lower west side, I think.
Okay, yeah, Lower West Side.
And Teddy won the Silver Skates in New York.
That's the ice skating race, right?
Right. On the Hudson.
Wow. Must
When
have
he
been
was a boy. And he was quite a gal.
What happened to him?
Well, he married very late in life. Married his secretary, and they moved to Florida. But he always supported his mother. He always sent her money for monthly to live on when she was older. And she lived in the Bronx in a basement apartment. And then, but she loved adventure. She'd be with Art, and when I was in the hospital having the baby, and she'd come up, and they'd come to the hospital. They'd drive to, and she'd always want them to go faster, go faster. She loved.
How far a drive was it from where the farm place over to the hospital?
Oh, about 25, 30 miles.
Okay. And do you remember when you first laid eyes on Susan, what you thought, what she looked like?
Well, I didn't see her for quite a while because they had to give me a transfusion. So the first time they brought her to me was I had my arm out, and when I get blood, I take it very slowly. So I had been all day taking 1 pint of blood, and when they brought her to me, I couldn't hold her because my arm was numb.
Oh.
And I had to send her back, but.
But you got to look at her anyway.
Oh yeah.
She looked okay?
Yeah, it was exciting.
Great. Wow. Yeah, because Susan turned out pretty well.
Oh yeah.
And how about Barb? Where was she born?
Barbara was born in Amenia, New York. Actually Sharon, Connecticut. We lived in Amenia then, but we lived right on the state line. And the nearest hospital was Sharon, Connecticut, which is right over the state line.
And did they chase you out of the hospital earlier on that one?
Oh yeah, gradually they were getting to the point where they moved you out earlier.
How about Barb? Did her birth go smoothly?
Yes. She was induced also. All 3 of my children were induced.
And do you remember seeing Barb for the first time? Did she look the same as Susan?
No, she had a head full of dark hair.
Yeah, I kind of remember that when she was a baby. She had curly hair.
Curly dark hair. Well, Art's mother had curly dark hair.
Okay. So it didn't scare you to death or anything?
No, no.
And was she? Do you remember? Were they quick to cry in the hospital?
Yeah, no, but Barbara, I had a little